Alright. Welcome to my channel. Or if you're a returning viewer or a subscriber, welcome back to my channel. I've got this guy who just flew in to show off today. BB-09US Ultrashield. And I say quote unquote flew in figuratively, as embarrassing as this is. I've had this figure for a year now, and I'm just now getting around to taking it out of the box. What can I say? When you're busy, one way or the other. I do want to use this as an opportunity to show this figure off. Figured this might be something that people might like. It is a really cool looking color scheme of the parrot mold and definitely worth an unboxing and review. So yeah, as you can see, it's a patriotic themed version of the parrot mold. And I can't say this with absolute certainty, but I have to assume this is inspired by US national flag colors and graphics. I mean, the connection is right there. And its call sign is BB-09US, which does stand for Ultrashield. So I think this was a tribute to 5T Toys to those of us who live here in the United States. Just my opinion. That hasn't been explicitly stated, but there again, not hard to make that connection. So this particular figure was actually a limited release. I believe it was originally intended for sale exclusively in their physical retail stores. 5T Toys does have a handful of retail locations around the world, and I believe they've got 2 in the US. And if I remember correctly, they're both located in the Atlanta area. But yeah, I believe it was intended for sale exclusively to US retail locations, but it did eventually make its way to limited availability in other markets. I bought this one in particular on 5T Toys AliExpress store, but it's no longer available there as of fall 2025 at the time that I'm filming this. It looks like you can find it on Big Bad Toy Store though, which is a US-based online toy retailer, and they do ship across the country for a fixed rate. So what are we looking at today? I'm going to do an unboxing. We'll take a look at what comes in the box. We'll run through some figure details, the transformation demo, and then I'll wrap it up with a box grade. So let's jump right in. I got my trusty Red Devil, and we're going to pop the top on this. Very nice. So you get the bird, of course. You have a nice custom box charger, and it comes with a perch here. So we're going to take a look at all of this. But before we do, I want to talk about some package details here for just a second. First off, it does have some beautiful box art. Again, very patriotic themes. You got a lot of reds, whites, and blues on here. Got some details about the bird here on the back. Produced by 5T Toys. Thunderbird Workshop is the name of the design group who designed this thing. They have a long-standing relationship with 5T Toys, and they've designed a number of figures that have really stood the test of time. So yeah, it transforms into its cube mode here. They do actually rate its transformation difficulty. They've got it as a 3. You know, I think I could argue a couple different ways on this. 3, yeah, I would say it's maybe about an average transformation if you're uninitiated to the Beastbox and Machine Cubes transforming series. Once you get used to them though, I have found that this particular mold is not terribly hard to transform. I think it's fairly intuitive, and I would personally rate it a 2, but to the uninitiated I could see where that might be a 3. There again, we got a lot of graphics on here that do suggest a lot of US landmarks and stuff like that. Obviously that's the Statue of Liberty, you got the Chrysler Tower here, you got the Empire State Building, and I believe that's the Golden Gate Bridge. Official product name of this one is Beastbox Ultrashield, and they're also pointing out some other similar molds that they sell. Echo Blaster is the first and original of this. This is actually a macaw. Could call it a parrot, but I would say this is really closer to a macaw. And you got Rumblebeat, which is the variation of that. It has like a feather crest on its head, something like that. So as far as what comes in the box, now this one may have been released right before the wave where they really started packing in some collectible character cards with these, or maybe they just decided not to include it. I don't know, just depends. But yeah, apparently this one does not come with collector cards, which is kind of what I'm used to seeing on more recent releases of the past couple of years. It does have some catalogs and things, and you do have a character card for this particular character. And of course you got some instructions here. So I want to take a look at this character card because we don't see too many of these anymore. Got beautiful artwork on it. BB-09US Ultrashield. Unique to this card is it's graphically oriented in a portrait mode instead of a landscape mode like they typically are. And you got a little something on the back here, so no actual character bio. I guess this is a kind of that middle phase where they started to phase out character cards and not really do anything with it, but you do have this nice little card here, which I think is a nice little collectible piece. But we're going to clear this out of the way. Talk about the figure itself. There again, inside the bubble carton, you get the figure. Very nice mold. This one has some pretty sturdy joints. I'm going to take a closer look at this guy here in just a second. There again, you have the perch. And this is something that they had started doing with the macaws way back when. I believe this mold has been around for 5 or 6 years, something like that. I can't remember when it was initially released. BB-09, that's a very early figure release. I would say this probably came out just a little bit before the pandemic, probably 2019-ish time frame, something like that. So yeah, I'd say it's probably been about 6 years. And we have a nice looking custom box charger in beautiful red and blue colors. Very nice. You got some silver accents on the sides there. Now this is a newer style box charger with the knobs and stuff on it. Opens and closes very nicely. We'll take a look at that in a little bit here. Before we do, take a look at this here. That fits right on the side of the box charger there. Interestingly though, doesn't want to stay completely parallel to the top of the box here. Huh. We're going to do a quick comparison here to an older style box charger that does not have the knobs and stuff like that. All right, so that seems to fit a lot better, a lot closer to parallel on this one. There again, I believe with this new style box charger, this is what we have. No bones about it, we would call a design flaw. And I think it has to do with this knob here right in the center of this angled widget piece. I think that's kind of blocking just a little bit this piece from latching all the way onto it. Huh, that is interesting. So you can see it right there. See how off kilter that looks? Then we'll put it on this other one, and it sits on there completely parallel with the top of the box charger there. So yeah. So one more reason to hate on this new box charger style. And if you think I'm fooling, we'll take a look at this with another newer style box charger. This is a plain one. There again, kind of off kilter. Not using this video review to go on a rant or anything like that, but I will definitely use this occasion. This should be a wake-up call to 52 Toys. I really do think they need to abandon this new style box charger. I think all these extra holes and stuff like that are really ugly on this. It has very limited utility. I don't know how many people would look at the lid of these box chargers and go, I need to attach every accessory under the sun on this thing. At least on the front side, yeah, I will say this is uglier. It takes away from the aesthetic beauty and kind of the austerity of the original box charger design. The original box charger is a much cleaner looking design. Maybe there is some utility in having these knobs on the top here. Don't know how many people want to do that. What I would definitely say for any given figure is they're going to have a much easier time standing on top of an older style box charger than you do having to maneuver around these knobs and whatever. So some figures with much smaller feet like hooves and whatever will not have as easy as a time standing on top of one of these newer style box chargers. And there again, you've got that knob on the side here that nobody's ever going to use for anything, that just interferes with those extra little accessory gimmicks like the perch. So I'll say it again, I've said it in a few other reviews, I think this newer style is a boneheaded idea by 52 Toys. They should abandon it and go back to the original box charger design because we're not really getting much out of it. We're getting less out of this new style box charger design than we're getting more out of it, if that makes sense. So I'll just leave it at that. Moving on here, let's talk about some figure details. First thing I want to do is address that perch. That's the cool thing about 52 Toys figures is they really dig into the characteristics of a given animal. And in this case with the bird mold, they had decided to add some little ports on the bottom of its feet so you can attach it to a perch the way any given macaw or parrot or almost any type of bird really would want to sit on a perch. One thing I will point out about this particular figure is this is a later release of the macaw mold. The original macaw had 2mm pegs for its perch and the holes on the bottom of the feet there. And on my copy of Echo Blaster, which I pointed out in that review, those things eventually snapped right off. These are 3mm and therefore obviously a sturdier design. All right, just connects like that. Can attach him right to his perch, and there again. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. So this is where this design flaw really rears its ugly head. You can't even get this bird to perch on top of its damn box charger. So the thing that it comes with and that it's designed to do, it can't even do. Well, no, there I got it, but just barely. I mean, I think it's just going to take the slightest little tap to get this thing to fall right off. Yeah, doesn't take much effort at all to do that. Oh, God. Let's do this again. We're going to do it with an original box charger, and I'll show you what the difference is. Holes go on top of pegs. Get the bird standing there. Get a normal box charger, and he sits on there perfectly. So there again, no issues with the original box charger and a parrot perch. We'll try this one more time just for demonstration's sake. I can't believe 52 Toys would put something like this out. Honestly, I have no words for this other than this is kind of shameful. Moving on though, so I guess the moral of the story here is, yeah, it comes with a perch, but you're not going to get any use out of this perch on this specific box charger or any 2.0 style box charger. Yeah, we'll set that aside. Let's talk about some figure details. So yeah, it's definitely of the macaw mold, and you do have some beautiful red, blue, and white design cues straight off of American flag. I kind of feel like this is a bird version of the new Captain America, so that's kind of what I get from it. Something interesting here is there are layered plastics on here. So you've got these blue plastics on top of the red. Kind of forms like a little helmet, which is pretty cool. Then you have the beak, which is actually part of the red plastic, but it's painted yellow. You got a little bit under the top part of the beak that's still revealing kind of the red base layer. You got a star right on top there. Definitely looks like he's got a helmet on there. So he's very much a Captain America type bird. You got some silver accents here on the front. It's beautiful. I love this gradient halftone painted effect here on the side. That looks pretty cool. Nice stars, you know, stars and stripes for sure, coming right off of the macaw's wing. That's a very nice design touch. It's a cool way to repurpose this specific mold to reuse it as sort of an emblematic version of the American flag. So really like that design cue. White tail feather pieces. And the cool thing about this particular mold is it is very nicely articulated. Now again, this is a BB-09. This is one of the very earliest releases for Beastboxes of the 5cm line. And I think I've said this before, I think this is one that really charted the course for where Beastboxes were going to be headed for the next few years at least. So yeah, they're again very nicely articulated. The wings can expand, of course. You can rotate them down, whatever. You can obviously get it into a bird resting on a perch pose, which I've shown just a little bit ago. Fold its wings back, you can tuck them in, just like that. A lot of mobility in the legs and in the claws here. The head has a lot of capability to rotate, pivot up and down, you know, left and right, all that kind of stuff. And look down a little bit too, so. And of course the beak can open. You got a little tab on here so you can push that open. Opens up real nice. Overall, it's just a really well done figure. This is one that I kind of feel like, as far as Beastboxes go, is a stand. And what I mean by that is, if you're going to collect Beastboxes, I feel like this is one that you definitely need to have at least one of in your collection. There again, it does come with some disappointments. And one thing they did fix, being a later release of the macaw mold, is they adjusted the perch to go from 2mm to 3mm for a little more sturdiness there. But then they included this with a new style box charger. Didn't even bother to make sure the damn thing worked correctly before they shipped this out on the market. So, whatever. Speaking of box chargers, I think it's time we do a transformation demo for this guy. All right, so first thing we want to do is we want to separate the central chest piece here. So I'm going to pop that open like that, pull this piece down, and you'll get these pieces down and out of the way essentially. And we'll get the wings out to the sides there, so we get them kind of up and out of the way. One thing I didn't identify before, this does have the aviation faction symbol inside of its wing here, so we're going to make sure that the feathers are splayed out here for the tail feathers. And we're going to rotate the central piece around 180 degrees, just like so. Now from here, we're going to converge the tail feather pieces to form a flat wedge. So these side skirt pieces are going to go under the central part. And they'll snap into place just like that. You want to leave it kind of flat, sort of parallel, almost like a big shoe. Then we're going to rotate this whole piece up and back. You may want to push the legs a little bit out to the side like that, just to give you a little more room. And this whole carriage piece is going to slide right inside this groove here. So we're going to rotate this piece back, but then this piece needs to fold down on top of that piece first. That'll give you enough clearance to get that up and over. Oops. So get it about like that. Then you'll have what is basically an L-shaped configuration between the central chest piece and the tail piece. So we're going to fold the head all the way back down into that cavity. And there's a tab and groove connection here. That'll snap together real nice. Comes together just like that. So there again, we want to keep the wings up and out of the way for just a little bit here. And the legs, what you're going to do is they're on a ball socket here that kind of has a groove in it that can rotate out sideways. So you're going to rotate them up in that shape and then over sideways, so that essentially you have the internal of the ball socket facing up towards the top of the character. And then you're going to fold them sideways like so. And they're going to rest inside that groove right here. These feet are also going to need to be positioned at a 45-degree angle. And what's going to happen is the back part of the claw is going to intersect with the top of the wing there. So we're going to fold that about 45 degrees. So this is one of those Beastboxes where one of the corners is actually the front of the figure. So there again, on the other side, we're going to rotate that piece up. Going to rotate the leg to the side. And then we're going to that 45-degree wedge with the claw. Now the wings are just going to collapse up on the side. They're going to fold in at a 45-degree angle. Then they're going to fold forward, and you're going to want to make sure that this piece is resting flush up against the backside there. So effectively, you're going to have this claw fitting basically inside of that groove, about like that. And the cool thing about the tip of these wings is there's this nice little tab here that they connect onto the top of the wing, and it snaps in together real nice. Before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and connect the tail to the bottom here. So yeah, it's just a big tab and pose connection. Snaps into place real nice, and it connects into a couple of spots here. So we'll just push that in. There again, bringing the wing over and around. That's going to snap up against that tab here. And you'll have the claw fitting inside the groove on both sides here. Just want to make sure that we're lined up here with the claw on both sides. So get that up and over. About like that. Fit the claw inside of that groove there. I'm going to snap it together. And it never hurts to check all around the perimeters and make sure everything's locked in securely. But one way or the other, that's your box mode. So the Echo Blaster mold is one that I have praised as one of the best box modes out of the entire line. The thing I love about it is that the wings form this obvious edge here, and essentially the box mode becomes a very obvious avatar of the creature inside. I mean, you're going to look at this and say, yeah, that's definitely a bird. So yeah, it's a beautiful, straightforward box design. Got some nice shapes in here. Not a perfect cube shape, but I don't think it necessarily needs to be. It does have some interesting contours and wedges, and overall it just does absolutely form a very nice looking cube form. Got lots of red, whites, and blues here, very much carrying on that patriotic theme. See how it fits inside of its box charger. Perfect. Now it's time to give this patriotic partridge an Patriotic box grade. This is my rating system of 6 categories of up to 5 points each for a total score of anything from 0 to 30 points. Ultrashield doesn't need a bio for you to know what it's all about. It excels as a robot macaw, and the sort of Captain America inspired red, white, and blue deco makes this figure soar into an easy 5 out of 5. It comes with a custom box charger, again, excellent patriotic color and graphic applications, and a perch. But the fact that its box charger is a 2.0 version that doesn't work with the included perch was ridiculously short-sighted on 5.2 Toys' part. 3 out of 5. Transformation is relatively simple, everything snaps together nicely, and it's overall satisfying. Again, this mold is one of my favorites in the entire line and forms one of the most on-point avatars of the creature inside. 5 out of 5. Articulation leaves nothing wanting. Ultrashield has tons of head, wing, and leg mobility, and can very believably strike all of those soaring poses or sitting on a perch with its wings tucked in. 5 out of 5. This is a pretty well-built figure with no parts that I'd describe as floppy or janky. The only real issue that comes to mind is the large surface area of the beak that's painted. For me, past experience has shown that it'll chip a bit over time. And there again, there's the Box Charger 2.0. Works great, but with the perch, not so much. 3 out of 5. The macaw mold is one of the best in the line as a true robot animal toy, where it really is fun to pick up and fill around with, even without any accessories or gimmicks. I have 4 figures of this mold, and that has held true over the past few years. The only thing detracting from this figure's experience is, again, the flawed 2.0 box charger design in combination with its perch. 4 out of 5. And that brings the box grade total to 25 out of 30 points. So there's a look at BB-09US Ultrashield. This is a great looking repaint of a Beastbox mold that has really stood the test of time. And at such a late phase in its years-long product cycle, I think it's really cool that they were able to repurpose this figure in such an interesting way. For my next review, I've got something very big planned, and man, I hope I can pull it off. We'll see, so stay tuned. If you enjoyed this review, please feel free to leave me a like or a comment. And if you know someone who's new to the Beastbox line, definitely share this video. This figure is a great entry point for anyone starting a collection. In the spirit of Thanksgiving, I appreciate all of you who have taken the time to watch my videos and interact with me in the comments. Thanks. I'll catch you in the next one.